This is our fourth time with Rick Wienecke. We've been talking about listening to the voice of God and some of the various unique issues there are with that. And one of the most important issues, I think, and Rick and I were talking about it before we started recording, and I think we're both in agreement on this. One of the biggest struggles that people have when it comes to listening to God and responding to Him is the fear of making mistakes, of not hearing God correctly, or of hearing something and not doing it correctly. And so the fear of doing it wrong prevents people at times from even trying to take a step in that direction, to make this shift. Rick, what are some of your thoughts or experiences on this?
I had a very close friend. I won't tell you what his name is because maybe a lot of people know him, but it's like he told me at one point that the Lord spoke to him really strongly one time, and he said, "I'm really disappointed in you because you haven't made enough mistakes." And the friend of mine, in response to what he felt like the Lord was saying to him, he was a little taken back with it. He was going, "Well, Lord, I'm trying my best to do everything as right as I can." But the Lord showed him that making mistakes is a show of you actually trying. And it's like, again, a father never ever punishes a son that's trying to learn how to walk as a small child. He never gets punished when he falls down. He's encouraged when he walks. And it's like there's a sense of, if you don't make the mistakes, it shows that you're not really even trying. And it's like a friend of mine also who was like a track star, he said, "You never ever win the race on the track. You always win it on the practice track."
Right.
It's like it's a constant training for something, for a moment that all of a sudden you've worked up until this point. It's something that has to be practiced. But the relationship that you have with the Lord has to be at least a deep enough level that it's okay to make a mistake. It's totally fine. It's almost like the Father expects you to make mistakes. Make a lot of mistakes. Because it shows Him that you're trying to hear His voice. You're trying to get close to Him. You're trying to understand His heart so you can respond to Him. So make a ton of mistakes. It's totally fine. Because all the working through of this will come to a point where I'm now trained in hearing His voice. I know what it sounds like.
Right.
I can respond faster now to this because I know it's Him. I know it's Him. And it's like it has to have that built within it.
Now, we're in a time period where things are so much in so many different areas of life. Things are so much on the edge for people. Okay? Things are unknown. People don't. People have limited resources, limited opportunities. The opportunities and resources they had before are in jeopardy now, if not gone altogether. And so, people, as they're looking at this, there's that idea that they want to make only right choices and only good decisions. Okay. And because the risk is too great in their mind's eye, that if they don't, then it will put them over the edge.
Right.
So, but what you're saying, what I'm hearing you say is, it's not that way with God. That God isn't, our future isn't determined by our mistakes or our successes.
Mm-hmm.
How well we do something or how poorly we do it. That doesn't set our path. What does set our path?
See, the whole sense is, in a way, I always look at it, it all comes down to a place of obedience. Because if Jesus says, I'm the truth, I'm the way, and I am life, he doesn't say, I have a portion of truth, or I am a good way amidst many different ways, but mine's a really good way. He said, I am the way, I am the truth, but I am. This is everything that I am. And if within my searching for him, and I come to a place of obedience, I'm in that place of being where, in a way, nothing in the world can touch me somehow.
Mm-hmm.
I know his provision is my provision. I know he's present within the space that I'm going through. And I know that it doesn't matter my decisions. My decisions, I have to know what he sees, how he sees this to be, so I can respond now to this new situation.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I'm determining my life to be successful because I have no need of anything and I have plenty in the bank and everything's going well for me and all of these things, it's like that's not the determiner. Success is not the determiner. It's what he says to me, how he sees me to be within. Because I always look at it and I think to myself, it's like he has a completely different way of seeing just about everything. My thoughts are not your thoughts, your ways are not my ways. And so in a way, I have to have this dialogue with him. And sometimes I have sensed over and over again that desperation is the plowed ground that the Lord creates within our lives for us to now be pushed into a place where he has to become our sole place of information. But again, if it's relationship, I've told this to people over and over again, it's almost like knowledge puffs up. In the world that we're living in now, we have the ability in our phone to tell us what the weather's going to be like every chunk of information you ever wanted is in your phone.
Right.
And in a sense, we have been taught in order to feel secure, we have to know what's going on. We have to know what to do, what's going on, what is the latest information that I have to adjust my life to that gives me a basis of making decisions. But the Lord says that knowledge puffs up, but love builds up. And I look at it and I think to myself, love is based on trust. And when I don't know something, which is a lot of the time, when I don't know something, I have to shift into a place of trust where I trust him. But in order to trust him, I have to have a history with him. I have to have a relationship with him.
Yeah.
He can't be a distant God, or he
Right.
can't be
Be a concept.
it can't be a paid professional, say, that's been that position of God for me, where he's the one directing my life and all the rules and stuff.
Or God on
So
demand. Or even God on demand. Even God on demand, you know.
yeah, because God will show you he's not a God on demand by not responding to all your demands. And then what are you going to do? Go find another God then? You know? And it's like the issue always comes down to a place of relationship. And it's like all the knowledge in the world, it's been amazing because I've met some like incredibly genius people in my life. And it's like, but all of a sudden, one in particular that I really remember, It's like he had a stroke, and within, I mean, all the knowledge that he had invested into gaining his entire life was lost within about a 30-second process within his body. And I mean, everything, he couldn't even talk
Yeah.
anymore. Everything he knew, it vanished. And I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, people invest their entire life into this kind of an obtaining of knowledge. So I'll never be embarrassed by looking stupid. I make really good decisions because I know exactly what I'm doing and all this stuff. And I'm thinking, no, it puffs up. I get vain. I get filled with myself because I'm constantly trying to show people how much I know.
Which is what's interesting about now is because every resource that we've, people, myself included, that we've looked to or admired as people having the answers or the insight or whatever, none of their insight, at this point, none of them have insight. Okay.
Right.
There's been some who, there was one lady the other day who said that she had several years ago had said that a pandemic would happen. Well, okay, well, you know, as if she prophesied this. Maybe she did, maybe she didn't, but it doesn't mean she knows what comes next. And in this whole period of time where there is no, that all of these systems are failing and are continuing to fail.
Right.
See, that's the thing about it. It would have been one thing if it had just failed in March,
Right.
or if it had just failed in April.
Mhm.
But May's not looking any better, neither are June, July, and August.
Right.
Okay, so at this kind of point, what you're saying about knowing our God, okay, knowing who He is, not just knowing about Him, not just knowing Him in the way that we've been taught to know Him, but knowing Him in ways that only He can show us.
Right.
Okay, there's God has, if I could put it this way, because I believe the Scripture says this, God has secrets He wants to share with us. He doesn't keep things hidden to keep things from us. He keeps them hidden so that we go to Him to find them, and then He gives them to us. Just the opposite of the enemy, who conceals things so you can't have them.
Right.
And that's what he accused God of doing. It's what with Eve and Adam.
Right. Right.
But that's not who our God is. And it's very interesting, especially if we're concerned about getting it right. Here's what we know at this time: there is no right way.
Right. Right.
Wall Street doesn't have it. Presidents don't have it. Religious leaders don't have it. And nobody, medical people don't have it. Everyone is stretched to the end or past the end of their abilities. So that really leaves us really with one option.
Right. Right. Because you look at it from a biblical point of view for Israel, almost like the Lord had to allow them to make all their choices to go into a place of total desperation where all of their decisions led to nowhere.
Yeah.
It led to a place where it wasn't really answering anything until they cried out to Him. And then He responds to them and tries to show them who He is to them. Because for us, we have to have a point of relational history with Him.
Yeah.
It's made up of private stories between you and Him. And it'll be the most tiny little things. A child is cheered by 3 steps that he made. It'll be stuff that will never make a newsletter,
Right.
won't get you a spot on a Christian TV interview or anything. but it'll be things that will be so small in what they are, but so incredibly precious because it's only between you and him. And
Yeah.
it's this history that you'll have of these moments with him that when you get to the crunch time where nobody's making any sense, all the experts are arguing with themselves, predictions that are made have all fallen and hit the ground by the next day. And you look at it and you think, but somehow deep within you is this history and this portion of memory that you have with him.
Yeah. Yeah, I encourage people that as they listen to these things and as we go through these next several weeks through Pentecost and after that, to hold on to those little episodes, those stories. I call them episodes because they are. They're a series of stories, encounters that I've had with God over the years. Some of them in very very insignificant in terms of the big picture of things. Very insignificant episodes, yet one in which God did something and revealed himself in a way that I had never known. And so it was quite profound. And that's what he wants to do with all of us during this time. And this is, I believe, what he's shaping for us through the coronavirus. Regardless of how long it changes things, whether it's forever or not, we can know he's changing us so that we become a people who move with him and respond to him in covenant. Covenant sounds really too formal, but it just means that depth of relationship, that encounter that we have with God, where we don't know what to do, where we're caught in a mess, where we're not sure what the outcome's going to be, but we encounter our God, he encounters us, and because we know him, because we see him and move with him, then those things that we don't know now no longer are significant because he knows.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, huh?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that we're sure of.
Yeah, yeah, that's where we're going. That's really what God's looking for, I think, in this hour. He's not looking for a super people. When we talk about restoring the earth or the downfall of the Babylon system, those are big sounding concepts. But really, at the heart of it all he's looking for from any one of us is not whether we can be the one who pulls the pin that causes the whole thing to collapse or puts the finger into the dike to stop the flooding and so something could be built. We're just people who are meeting our God where he wants us to be today and where he's going to meet us and we'll meet him. And that just reduces all of these issues and the mistakes into a pile of not too valuable things.
Right.
Yeah. Well, listen, Rick, I appreciate it, and we'll do some things further in the future. But anyway, blessings on you for taking this time to do these interviews.
Okay, I got one question.
Sure.
September, prophetically, is it going to happen? This gathering?